Awesome. You are in for a huge treat. My name is John Holmes, student pastor at Seacoast and Custom. And again, welcome to One Night. This is just a glimpse of what camp is going to be like. So, if you're not signed up, let's get signed up because it's just going to be a week of fun, all right? I said that with a lot of excitement. I was excited, I really was. So I have just the privilege and an honor to introduce you to some of our friends as they come through some one nights. And we had a special guest with us last month, and this month we've got a special guest as well. And Eric Samuel Tim is with us, and just a little history between he and I. We got into a real bad fight. No, I'm just kidding. We went to college together, and we were in a band for a week together. And as you can tell when you see him, we broke up because of creative differences. He's far more creative, and I'm just different. So, but Eric Samuel Tim is a good friend, and there's very few people I allow in my life to speak hard truths, because sometimes people walk into your life and they'll speak hard truths, but you don't have that relationship, and you're like, do I take this, or are you just like crushing my spirit right now? But Eric is the guy that if I need to get whipped into shape spiritually, I need to be challenged. He's the guy I call, and I say, hey, this is where I'm at. This is what we're doing. When I started our church, he was the guy who challenged me to be fasting and praying for people to come to know Christ. And there was just challenge in his life for me, and he's a good friend, and I'm just so excited to see where God has brought him from college to where he is now, and I'm just honored to introduce my friend to you, our family, Eric Samuel Tim, as our speaker tonight. Come on, give him some honor. Give him some honor.
Thanks, Sean. Love you too, buddy. Everybody say love. Love. All the way in the back. Everybody say love. Love. You okay? I love all kinds of things. I love water parks. Anybody else? One kid standing up like, oh. When I was a kid, summer would happen and I would go to a water park, this little place called Wisconsin Dells. You've been there? Yes, I have. You have? What's your name? Asa. Give it up for Asa. She's been there. Asa, I went to Wisconsin Dells when I was in junior high, and they had this slide that was called Demon's Drop. It was like a speed slide. It was literally like, straight down. You had to be 103 pounds, okay, to ride it. Everybody say 103. If you were 102, I don't know, you died. I'm not sure. They made me stand on a scale. I'm like, okay, here we go. And it's like one of those old school ones. And it was like, 102. I missed it by a pound. So I went to McDonald's. How many quarter pounders do I have to eat? 4, actually, fractions. So I went back to the scale with the diarrhea and some lettuce. And I stood on the scale. It said 103. The lifeguard was like, you can ride it. I'm like, sweet. I can die. So I took off running up this huge, massive tower. Now, if you're like me and you're at a water park, you run from ride to ride. And then the lifeguard, you're shaking your head. Okay, how many of you have ever been running at a water park and the lifeguard whistles at you, but then you keep going the same speed? Okay? All right, I'm coming down here, camera guys. Here's sort of how this happens. You like see the ride over there, and then you just like take off running, and then the lifeguard whistles, and you do this weird penguin sort of constipation walk. You're like, there it is, I can't wait. Walk, okay. You know what I'm talking about? You're just like, walk, okay. This is not a good look, Asa, okay? I get up to the top of this huge, massive tower. I look over the edge, and I love water parks. Every single slide you'll ever ride on has got this little water area, little area of water down at the bottom, or the top, rather. Well, both. But it's a little water area. It's like an area of water. You know what I'm talking about? There's like 4 jets, and they make this little pool, sort of like a little, water area. It's like an area of water. I sit down in it, I look over the edge, it's just straight down. I'm just like, I don't want And I like get right like this, and the water area is so cold. It's always cold. And it got really warm really quick. Some dude down at the bottom. You might want to move. Special treat coming your way. The lifeguard comes over and tells me how I'm supposed to go down the slide. You know, cross your arms like this, cross your legs like this, and hope you don't die, I guess. I don't know. So I go like this, and I'm like this. I'm like, actually, and I'm thinking, if I do die, I am in the perfect position for them to load me right in my coffin. Look at this. You're like, okay, pick them up, get them out of here. So I'm laying like this, and the guy comes over, David Hasselhoff, that's for the youth leaders. And he goes, are you ready to ride? I'm like, well, actually, I was thinking about, kicks me over the edge. I'm going straight down. My back's not even touching. It's like a free fall mummy ride. I'm like, I sound like a harpooned baby dolphin, okay? You know what I'm talking about? I'm hitting notes I didn't even know I could hit, like, baby, 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 how? Like way up there, like pre-puberty Justin Bieber notes. Can I get an amen? All the water shoots out. I'm laying there like, man, I'm not dead. I look down and I'm like, I'm not wearing any swim trunks. I call the lifeguard over. I go, hey, I need some help. He comes running over. I'm like, walk. He's like, okay. He walks up to me and he looks at me straight in the face and he goes, what seems? I see the problem. I'm trying to cover up with water. But that stuff's clear. So I jump out of that blue chute and I grab that little red floaty thing he takes and I take off running through the water park like this. Back to the safety of my Super Mario Brothers towel, which coincidentally just happens to be something else that I love. Super Mario Brothers. Come on, can I? I could sit here and tell you story after story of things that I love in my life, okay? Funnel cakes. If funnel cakes are not in heaven, I am going to be ticked. We're going to get there and I'll be like, Lord, I thought you said there was no suffering. What's up with no funnel cake rule? God's like, hold out your hand. Funnel cake. It just appears. It's heaven. It just shows up. God, there's no powdered sugar. An angel comes over and he's like, flicking its wings at you. Little deodorant balls. No? Okay, some of you are like, I'm never having powdered sugar again. That's where it comes from. Now you know. There's all kinds of things that I love. We could literally go through the alphabet of A to Z of things that I absolutely love. One of my favorite things is talking to students about God's love. How big, how amazing God's love is. Everybody say love. Love. It's hard for me to articulate from this stage with just words about God's love because it is so big. It is so huge. It is so strong, so mighty, so much more powerful than any suit of iron you place yourself or the world is in. Love disarms iron men and iron women. Love is the most powerful force on earth. Somebody say love. Now, when I'm talking about God's love, there's a Jewish hymnist that says it like this. It's a poem, and it goes, if we would think the ocean fill, or of skies of parchment made, and every stalk on earth a quill, and every man a scribe by trade, to write the love of God above would drain the ocean dry, nor could the scroll contain the whole. They'll stretch from sky to sky. To put it in terms, you can clap. When I first heard that, I didn't even know what that meant. To put it in terms that you can understand, when I'm talking about God's love, if you filled up the ocean with ink and every single blade of grass was a pen and the sky was not the sky, but it was made out of paper, and all of us were writers, and we used the ink from the ocean, and all of us started to write about God's love in the heavens, the ocean would run out of ink, the sky would run out of room before we could even capture how big, how huge, how mighty, how powerful God's love is. Amen? Can I get an amen? There's another hymnist that talks about love. His name is David, and he talks about it in Psalms. You can read it for yourself in Psalms 36, picking up at verse 5. Now, if you don't have a Bible, that's okay. Talk to your campus pastor or Pastor John or stay at a hotel. There's one in the drawer. Okay, just take it. I think don't take it, I'm kidding. But that's where I got this one. Okay, let's move on. Psalms 36, King David says, your love, God, reaches, it extends to the heavens. He uses a word for heavens in the Hebrew, and it's a really fun word. The word for heavens in Hebrew that David uses in Psalm 36:5 is shamiyum. Yeah, it's fun to say. But you got to say it with some motions, okay? It's shamiyum. But before you say it, I want you to say it with me, and I want you to go like this, okay? Shamiyum. And get a really awkward smile, like, Okay, ready? On 3, shamiyum. One more time. Look at your neighbor and just see how weird you can be, okay? Shamiyum. Oh, that's so awkward. There's a word for heavens in Hebrew, and the word for Hebrew for heavens in this piece of scripture is what? Shamiyum. And it actually means the sky, the clouds, the moon, the stars, what is visible to our eye. What we can see is the shamiyum that David is referencing about how big God's love is. David is saying, God, your love is like the heavens. Your love is like so huge, it could go to the sun. It could go to the stars. It's that big. We can see a lot farther than David could. We've got these things called telescopes. If you got in your car and drove 125 miles an hour and you wanted to drive to the first star, you'd get to that star in 114,000 years later, you'd get to the first star in your car at 125 miles an hour. That's how big the heavens are. In fact, there are stars right now in the galaxy that the shamiyum, the heavens that God's love is in, that's so big, so huge, that if the earth was a golf ball, 7 quadrillion Earths could fit inside this one star. 7 quadrillion Earths could fit inside this one star. Quadrillion is a huge number, okay? 1 quadrillion seconds ago is 12 days ago, okay? All right? Excuse me, let me back up here. 1 million seconds ago is 12 days ago. 1 trillion seconds ago, okay, is 1988. And some of your youth pastors had Zubas, and they were listening to MC Hammer, but that's okay. 1 billion seconds ago is 29 BC, and 1 quadrillion seconds ago is 30 million years ago. The number of quadrillion is so huge, it's hard for us to even comprehend. If the earth was the size of a golf ball, 7 quadrillion Earths can fit inside this one star that God's love reaches to and beyond. That's how big it is. In fact, if you wanted to know how many Earths or how many golf balls 7 quadrillion is, take the state of Texas, fill it with golf balls 14 feet deep, the entire state. That's how many Earths fit inside this one star that's inside our galaxy, that God's love is bigger than. The shamiyum. Of all the things that I love talking about God's love because it's huge, it's powerful, It's sometimes incomprehensible. It changes everything. It disarms anyone. There's no other force stronger than God's love. There's a word about God's love in the Old Testament. The Hebrew people had a word they used a lot, and it's achava. Now, I want you to say that with me, okay? But shamiyum is more like shamiyum, right? But achava, you get to say this cool Hebrew thing that goes, okay? So everybody get your Hebrew on with me and just go, okay, don't spit on each other. My word, I see misting over here like a... Okay, say achava with me. Achava. When you're cued, achava. Achava. Achava is a Hebrew word for love. It's made up of four. Everybody say four. Four Hebrew letters. Now, if you look at this word, achava, and you really study it, this word for love in the Old Testament that the Hebrew people use, it's achava, that they said. It's actually translated to us in English, I love or I give. That's because if I'm going to talk about God's love, I got to make sure you understand this. It's going to cost something. If you really want to understand love in your life, at your school, in your family, in your walk with Jesus, wherever you're at, whether you're in 6th grade or you're a graduating senior, if you want to understand more about love, specifically God's love, to love is to give, and to give is to love. Love costs someone something, down to the very value of the way that the word is made. Asa, we see this transaction take place where love becomes a reality because it's given. John 3:16, God so what? Love. The world that he what? Gave. Okay, say that again. God so love. The world that he gave. See, God loved, so he gave. And love becomes a reality when it's given. Without a transaction, love is just an idea. Love is not a reality until there's a transaction that takes place. And God loved, so he gave. 1 John 3:16, another verse that you can read about in a hotel drawer, says this: we know what love is by this. And you don't have to turn on a radio. You don't have to look at a movie star. You don't have to find out some song, one friend. You don't have to listen about how culture or society or a TV show or whatever would define love, because most of the time it's a distortion of it. But we know what love is by this. This is what love is. If you want to know about love or what love is and what love does, we know what love is by this, that Jesus laid down his life for us. It costs his life. The transaction has been paid. It's already been done. Because to love is to give, and to give is to love. And because of the greatest sacrifice, the firstborn, God's love is illustrated that it reaches beyond the heavens. And if we were going to write about it or talk about it, we would fill the heavens and drain the ocean because of the shamiyum, because of ahava, because of God's love. Of all of the things that I love speaking to students about God's love, because every single one of you can experience God's love in such a way that it disarms iron men and iron women. When you see love become a reality, it's by this transaction. Let me illustrate it to you a different way. Does anybody got $5 in here? Right here. Can I just get it out and just give it to me? I may or may not give it back. I don't know. But you're just going to have to trust me on this. What's your name? Emma. Hi, Emma. Thanks for the $5. Hi, Emma just gave me your money. Emma, thank you. Have a good night, everybody. This is a $5 bill. Honestly, it's now mine. It's not Emma's, it's mine. I took it from her fair and square. But this is a powerful piece of currency. I mean, it's a piece of paper, by the way, and when you are raising money for missions or you're really understanding something about money as your life goes on and the importance of giving and how this all comes to play, just remember when you go use the restroom and there's a roll of toilet paper sitting there and it's like hanging there like this is made out of the same stuff. Okay, it's just paper, but we get so excited about this because it's money, but it's really just paper. There's something greater than just this paper that exists. But a $5 bill is not a bad thing. I mean, it's got some power here. What's your name? Hannah, come here. Now, Hannah, when this is mine, it's mine. But when it's given and then it's received, your face is awesome. I wish you could see Hannah's face. She's like, sorry, Emma. I just got your $5 bill. Hannah, it's like when it's given, but it's received, now it's yours, and it becomes powerful to you. It's now your $5 bill. Okay, give it up for Hannah. Don't give it to Emma. Go sit down. But in reality, there are people in here, in this room, that sort of feel like Emma. I got robbed. I just was cheated. Someone took my money. I went to one night and the speaker just robbed me in front of everybody. But in reality, here's what I want to show you about God's love, about the transaction that Jesus paid for you on your behalf. See, God's love is so big, words can't even capture it. It's hard to even start to even talk about it, okay, because it reaches so far into the heavens. It's just this huge thing. But love is a reality, and it becomes a reality when it's paid and there's a transaction that's been taken place. And we know what love is by this, that Jesus laid down his life for you. He paid a price you couldn't pay. It's the greatest display of love. It changes everything. It disarms anyone. It's more powerful than anything you could ever imagine. And here's the cool thing about Jesus, Emma. There are people in here that sort of feel like life has cheated them. They paid into a system or a relationship or sin or something that someone has taken from them, and they feel less. They feel like they've had their value stolen from them. Here's what's amazing about God's love. Because it's the greatest display of love, because it was the most, huge transaction ever paid, Jesus, he just, gives you more.
Seriously?
Yeah. He just pays you more than whatever you've paid into. Because his love is the most powerful love that reaches beyond the heavens, that isn't captured in anything that you could capture. It's bigger than the Shamayim itself. And whatever Jesus pays, he pays you back more. And if we were really going to switch gears, because we're talking about love, we're talking about how it changes everything, about how Jesus' love is the most powerful transaction. Let's talk about the Iron Suit. Now, I love Iron Men. Yeah. And I love X-Men. And I love X-Men so much that I named my first son Xavier. Yeah, my daughter is Storm. Our dog is Jubilee. No, I'm kidding. But as much as I love Iron Men, I don't like Iron Men and Iron Women. Let me tell you why. Because you and me become Iron Men and Iron Women. Not like the superhero, cool, blow stuff up and walk away and there's an explosion behind us and we don't flinch. Not like that. But we become Iron Men and Iron Women. We become Iron people because we get locked into these suits. We lock ourselves tight into these suits of you fill in the blank, whatever your suit is. Whatever sin you could think of, whatever shortcoming you Feel like you're a failure, or your future, or the fear of your unknown, or your father, or we could go on and on. Maybe it's your figure and you just can't stand who you are in your own skin. And we lock ourselves into these iron suits. Maybe it's unforgiveness, or maybe it's hate, or maybe it's something else for you. I don't know what it is for you. It's different for you than it is for me, but it's an iron suit. And you become this person you were never meant to be. You become locked up inside of this iron suit that you can't get out of. You can't disarm yourself. Nothing you do can make it right. Nothing in your own power can get you out of this suit of iron, this suit of steel that's holding you back. It's keeping you heavy, that's made out of lead and seeping into the very pores of your body until the lead-based paint makes you sick, and you look at yourself in the mirror and you cry yourself to sleep, or you don't cry at all. You become locked in this suit of iron, this suit of unforgiveness, this suit of doubt, this suit of fear, this suit of whatever it is for you. We become iron men and iron women. But what disarms iron men and iron women is the greatest force on earth. The greatest display that the earth has ever seen. The thing that reaches beyond the shamil. The one thing that's experienced by transaction, by giving. The one thing that ceases to become just an idea and a reality when we understand that Jesus pays us more than anything that's ever been taken from us. What disarms iron men and iron women, whatever the suit of iron you came in here with, is what? Love. Because love disarms iron men and iron women. There are people all over this world that are in a suit of iron today. Do you realize that the time you woke up today, by the time you went to school, or you didn't go to school, or I don't know, is school out? Yeah, you're cheering for that. I know, I remember those days. The truth is there is a suit of iron called hunger. Do you know that 25,000 people died today? 25,000 children died today because they can't get food. They can't go to window number 1, pay for it, and pick it up at window number 2. They can't open their fridge, if you're like me, and look inside and go, there's nothing to eat. Even though it's stacked with food, and we shut it and we walk away. They can't do that to their pantry. They can't get food, and so 25,000 kids, your age and under, die in a hospital bed, their mother's arms, or a ditch because they can't get what we just have. What sometimes we eat because not we're hungry, we're just bored. That's a suit of iron. It's called hunger. What disarms iron men and iron women? Love. Love is more powerful than hunger. Starvation is a preventable disease. And love is the antidote. The time you listen to a song on this stage, do you realize that 12 child slaves are sold approximately somewhere on this earth? I mean, where they're forced to work and labor. They don't have rights. They don't get to go to school. They don't have summer break. They don't have water parks. They don't get to golf. They are placed in a suit of iron called slavery. Every 15 seconds, someone dies on this earth because they can't get what I have in my hand. Water. What we wash our dogs with, what we water our lawns with, what we wash our dad's car with. Which, by the way, not to be crass, and please be mature in this, but what's literally sitting at the bottom, like water, at the bottom of a toilet bowl. Every 15 seconds, someone dies because they can't get water that's safe, and it's sitting at the bottom of our toilet bowls in North America. Liquid gold to the rest of the world, a flushable and disposable commodity to us. It doesn't even matter. We don't even care. It's just water. I mean, what's the big deal? Leave it on. I'm brushing my teeth. And the suit of thirst, the suit of iron. What's crazy about God's love is once we realize that the transaction has been paid for us, we as Jesus' followers get to be gatekeepers of that love to this world. Like love starts and stops with you, Emma. The people in your school, Hannah. Love flows through you or it stops right where you're at. You get to choose to take love that's already been paid, the greatest transaction, the one that reaches beyond the heavens, far greater than the Shamium of the earth, where like the ocean would be like out of ink because this paper couldn't even contain that huge, massive love. You get to decide whether that love goes out of your life or just ends with your life, because love costs. Because to give is to love, and to love is to give. It's always a transaction, and you get to decide whether to continue the currency of love moving forward. You are a gatekeeper of that. If you are a follower of Jesus, you are merely not just a follower of Jesus, you are a gatekeeper of his love. And you are the prayer that people have been praying for. You may be the angel that God is purposely sending. You may be what they are waiting for, love, because they're in a suit of iron and they can't get out on their own. I remember my own life being collided. It was my turn to speak at a festival in Pennsylvania, and I was actually eating a funnel cake. And this guy got up front and he started talking about how we can rescue children. How we can rescue children through Compassion International, which is a mission, like literally, that takes kids and rescues them, okay? I met a 7th grade girl, by the way, 7th grade girl, that sponsors 7 children. $38 a month per kid. 7th grade girl sponsors 7 kids. When she's in the 8th grade, she's going to sponsor another one, and then 9, and then 10, and then 11, and 12. Her goal is by the time she's a senior in high school to be literally supporting 12 kids through sponsorship with Compassion, because she knows that love can disarm them. She bakes cookies, she makes cupcakes, she mows yards, she does everything that it takes. She pays a transaction, sometimes with her time and her energy, so she can literally be love to someone on the other side of the earth. Now, here's my challenge for you on a global scale. If that's you, and you're here as a student, and you have ever thought about being involved in something greater than maybe what you're currently doing, you want to step out in faith, I would challenge you to sponsor a child. I stood on a dirt floor in Nicaragua after I sponsored my first sponsored child because I didn't think these kids were real. And I got on a plane and I went and saw them, and the door swung open, and the mother named Isabella of this little girl named Crystal looked at me, and she's weeping, and she grabs me by my neck, and she looks at me in my eyes, and she says, "Eric, thank you for rescuing my daughter. Thank you for being Jesus to my family." And the iron suit of poverty that held Crystal back because her great-grandfather worked in this dump for $400 a year, and her father, Crystal, will not be put in that iron suit of poverty, because love, it disarms iron men and iron women. After that encounter with my sponsored child's mother, I said, God, I will always be a voice for the voiceless. And so maybe you're thinking, I've thought about sponsoring a child. Don't tell me you can't do it. Your generation can do anything. Maybe you don't do it on your own. Maybe, Emma, maybe you talk to one of your friends and you say, hey, do you want to sponsor a kid with me? And maybe you need to take one of these children that I'll put down at the front here at the end of tonight. Maybe you need to take it home and have a conversation with your parent about what this looks like for you. I would rather have you try and fail than never try, because failure is not trying at all. There are iron suits all around this world of poverty and injustice, and you get to decide whether you want to be a part of that transaction. As the band comes, I think that maybe there are some iron men and iron women in this room. As the worship band comes up, I just want to move into maybe this is a challenge for you. Because maybe you're sitting there listening to me talk, and you're like, you know what, Eric? I'm in a suit of iron. I am so scared of my future. I've got so much sin in my life. I feel so far from God. In fact, I wouldn't even consider myself a Christian or a follower of Christ. I feel like I'm so screwed up. I feel like I'm so locked up. I feel like nobody knows the things that I'm going through, and I feel like I'm going to self-destruct, and I need love to disarm me. I feel like I'm a ticking time bomb, and I'm an iron man or an iron woman, and I need Jesus' love to disarm me. I need Jesus' love that was paid, the most powerful transaction displayed, the one that reaches into the shawmium of it all to meet me in this place tonight. I need that kind of night. I need this to be my one night where Jesus and I start to unlock the suit of iron that I've placed myself in. And maybe the suit of iron that someone has placed you in. There's two ways that we get inside this suit of iron. There's our own sin, things that we do, like that are against the way that God would have us to live, that just sort of puts us in a suit. We make decisions and bad choices and against what God would have us to choose, and we start packing on the armor. And sometimes you don't choose the suit, it was chosen for you. Sometimes it's a set of circumstances that you would never choose, but your mom and dad, they split up. It wasn't easy. In fact, it hasn't been easy. Sometimes your loved one died of cancer. I mean, we could go through the list. You would never choose it, but it chose you. I'm here to tell you tonight that Jesus' love is more powerful than that. He's more powerful than the bully at school that pushes you around. He's more powerful than the past that left you feeling like you're going to drown. He's more powerful than anything you could ever imagine, ever be. It's more powerful than any suit of iron that you would place yourself in. So tonight, I'm just going to straight up ask you a question because I'm talking to you. I don't know who you are or how old you are, but you've never made a decision. You've never become a follower of Jesus. You've never done what the Bible clearly depicts, placing your trust, believing and walking from the life that you are currently in. And you feel like you're in a suit of iron. And tonight is your one night. You're not here by mistake. You're not here by accident. This isn't just a moment that just sort of happened. I want to ask you, if that's you, and you've never made this commitment to allow Jesus' love to start to disarm you from the inside out, and you're ready to take that first step with Jesus tonight, to disarm yourself, to get out of the suit that you've been placed in or that you've placed on, On the count of 3, I'm talking to you, and I want you to stand up right where you're at when I say 3. And I want the rest of us just to cheer like a bunch of idiots. Because this is for you. If I'm talking to you and you want to make that commitment tonight to become a follower of Christ, to put your faith in Jesus, to allow him to start to disarm you, make you a new creation. I'm talking to you. On the count of 3, I want you to stand up right where you're at. Get ready. 1. You may have never made this decision before in your life. 2, get your knees ready. Don't let pride keep you seated. And 3, if that's you, stand up right where you're at. Now, stay standing. Amen. Stay standing. Stay standing. Campus pastors that are near your students, or the students that are these students that brought the students, and that's a lot of students, but I want you to go to these students that are standing. If your student is standing and they're on your campus, I just want you to send a leader their way. I want you to get up out of your chair, campus pastors, and I want you to walk right over to this young man right here, this man right here. What's your name, man? Ashton. You guys give it up for Ashton. Ashton, you are standing. Why? Okay? You're going through some things, man. And you want Jesus' love to start to disarm you. Ashton, I don't know where you're at, man, but here's what I know. Following Jesus, faith in his love, it won't make things easy, but it'll make them possible. And Ashton, I'm proud of you. I am proud of you for taking the guts to stand. Do you understand that? Youth pastors, campus pastors, volunteers, somebody come and pray with Ashton right here. Band, go ahead and play behind me. Campus pastors and youth volunteers, I want you to pray with these students that are standing. If you got to huddle them up, if you got to take them over here in the aisle, just use the space if you need to. We're going to take a couple minutes. The band's just sort of going to vamp behind me. I want you to pray with them. I want you to pray with them. Maybe it's salvation. Maybe it's something like Ashton's just going through. And he just says, you know what? I've got a suit of iron. We're just going to take a couple minutes and give you some space to do that. Go ahead and do that now as the band plays. Don't anybody leave. We're going to continue in just a moment.